for introductions. Good
Okay.
evening.
Good
Coach
evening.
English here.
Hi, I am Mandy Thompson, third grade teacher.
Great. So, how have you been since our last meeting?
I've been good. It's been, let's see, today's Tuesday, 2 days of co-teaching still with my co-teacher, and it's still not great. So I'm definitely looking forward to, our discussion today of the expectations, that I'm coming in with and that you came in with and hearing the ideas that you have for me.
Okay, great. Because when I had that like 2 day break to really think about what approaches that I want to use with you, as I said, I'm
Hmm.
all for teamwork and for us working together. And I
Yes.
just really want to help you because I have been that non-confrontational teacher working with people that are a little bit more, no, I want to do things my way. People are
Hmm.
different, but when I saw those student writing examples that you showed me, it immediately struck with me that we most definitely, if we don't want to do an accusatory or non confrontational approach with your inclusion teacher, it most definitely needs to be evidence based. So, no matter what, it is like paper evidence. This is what I'm doing in my classroom versus what you're doing in your classroom. And now it's
Hmm.
not accusatory, it's more like, how can we find a solution and work together so both of us can have an equal quality of work. Because looking at the student writing example that she produced, I see that it's very minimal,
Hmm.
grammar, punctuation, all those key things for writing structure is missing. It's
Yes.
like run on top of run on, and the quality is not there. However,
Mhm.
looking at yours, the student has double space, it has a title, there's a beginning, an end, punctuation is evident. So I feel like when she looks at those two work examples, no one can refute there is a difference. And
Right. And it
yes,
definitely goes back to like what you were saying of just being on the same page because I don't think she realized the organizer I was using in my general education class could have easily been modified to still help her students that have specific needs. And so I mean it
exactly.
took me like 30 minutes to create a modified planning sheet for them. And so it made such a huge difference in what they produced. And again, it goes back to what you said of just that communication aspect.
Yes, really, I feel like communication and collaboration was the focal point. So I would like to think of our expectations list that we're making together as your sort of action plan for going in and making those alterations after this next session. So for our action plan, I kind of said our main objective is to work on communication with your inclusion teacher and to kindly get her more on board in following those mandated lesson plans, assignments, and that equal student expectations and quality of work. Because
Yes.
your student expectations need to match up with hers. Why? Because again, we don't want those inclusive students, those inclusive babies, to have low motivation. That
Hmm.
big GBAS is coming up at the end of the year. You don't
Hmm.
want their writing to be any lower than your gen ed students, especially if they're not going to be able to be tested out of GMAS.
Right.
They should have an equal amount of confidence when they see that writing prompt, even if it's not the same quality of work. But I feel like having those high expectations across the board is where you all can sit down and say, okay, this is what I have in mind for my students. I feel like we
Hmm.
should be equal just
Hmm.
so they can have a fighting chance.
Right. And I just strongly believe that even my less experienced babies have more than enough ability or opportunity to do amazing work. And I think that
Absolutely.
we just need to have that same idea.
Yes, and it's not saying your inclusive teacher does not have high expectations. I just don't
Hmm.
feel like they're similar, and we want to kind of get
Correct.
them there. So if we have
Yes.
it written down on paper, it's a lot less accusatory. We can make it more solution based. This is what I'm thinking. I would like
Hmm.
if we tried this method because, again, as I stated in the first meeting, you are the teacher of record, and all their results and everything, unfortunately, falls on the main teacher. So we want to
Hmm.
make sure that she is listening to what you have to say and that your voice matters, but then also letting her know her voice matters as well.
Right.
So I'm thinking on top of evidence based, maybe also sharing your expectations for your students so that high quality of work is aligned in and outside of her inclusive classroom is
Hmm.
top point. Also conveying that you both have the same level of confidence in the abilities of your students that you're sharing,
Hmm.
and informing your inclusive teacher about working together to motivate your students and push them so they can maintain a certain level of drive regardless of their academic capabilities. So
Hmm.
if your gen ed students are doing 2 pages, which is, I mean, too advanced, but if they are writing 2 pages already and your inclusive babies are doing one, can we at least make it organized, grammatically correct, and work on those? Like
Yeah.
incremental writing goals. I think if you
Hmm.
could work with that, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And I feel like she would be more into listening and opening up to the idea because honestly, once you share those lesson plans and those goals, she can
Hmm.
go in and modify. You can look at what she has, and it'll
Hmm.
be a nice way of saying, I'm not confident. Let me see your lesson plans. This really opens the door for, I just want to see what you're doing. You can look at what
Hmm.
I'm doing. We can modify it, make writing projects together. You can make
Yeah.
a
The
writing
collaboration
project.
aspect. Hmm.
Exactly. Anything collaborative seems more solution based than you're the problem. Let's do whatever. But then on the document we've been working on for those past couple days, I see you have ideas as well. You
Hmm.
also you also like mentioned times where you could meet, which is great
Yeah.
because I didn't have access to your schedule and
Yeah.
no one knows when they can meet more so than the teacher because you have
Yeah.
so many things you have to do. You stated you were both busy. So I would like for you to share more about those times where you can meet to make this happen.
Sure. Yeah, so it's just really important to me that we're finding time in our busy schedule to meet, even if it's just like once a week for just like 10 minutes.
Okay.
So I had looked at my schedule and her schedule, and there's not much time throughout the day. However, I noticed that on like Mondays, maybe we already, Mondays are already hard, but if you could, put in an extra 10 minutes to get to school 10 minutes early, we
Mhm.
could go over our week together. And I thought we could, make it even more fun and like alternate every week, like bring coffee for one another or something to, like
Wow.
make it a little bit more fun and more of a friendly conversation, not just work. um so that's one idea that I had, because I know we both love coffee. That's something that I could use as like a similar thing that we love. So finding that time would be really important. And, if she couldn't do before school on Mondays, she wasn't willing to wake up 10 extra minutes, which I understand. Sleep is important. Then maybe like after school on Mondays for just like 10 minutes. We usually have like 30 minutes that we usually have to wait on, uh, buses and everything to get home. So we're usually just sitting in our classrooms. Like that might be a good time as well. Um, and then I had also, just some other things that I really want her to help me with is like
Mhm.
planning, like whether it's going to be parallel or if we're going to alternative teaching,
Oh,
team teaching, however it may be, just so that way it's not me teaching and her observing, because that's what it feels like a lot of the time when she's pushing into the classroom. So it's not only pull out, it's push in as well. Um, but on top of all of that, though, just overall, just being flexible with one another, and providing each other with grace, because, like I said, we're both busy, and I know that sometimes we forget to prepare something, or plans may change. But I feel like as long as we're flexible with one another and understanding, then a lot of this stuff will help. A lot of it will be easier.
yes, I feel like even if you convey some of what you just told me, when you are able to meet up, I would love if we have another coaching session to kind of talk about what happens if she says yes and what
Yeah.
happens when you show her the expectations list you and I kind of laid out. Again, I'm
Hmm.
saying not giving her all of these ideas straight out the gate, but make these like incremental Monday meetings, like meet every other week on a Monday and say, these are 5 goals I think we should start working on. Here are my ideas. What about your ideas? And again, a brief 10-minute meeting like we're having right now could be
Hmm.
really effective.
I
So
agree.
allowing her to be like, would you rather like to sacrifice your morning, meet 10 minutes earlier so we can meet and discuss what we need to do, or 10 minutes after school? I feel like that's very fair. You're
Hmm.
being flexible, and flexibility and fairness, I think that's great all across the board. So honestly, I feel like you've done a solidified part in ensuring that there's some growth and progress being made. Now it's up
Hmm.
to your inclusion teacher to kind of take the bait, engage, and respond to you. So if you go
Yes.
to her with the ideas or some of the ideas that we have planned, maybe type them up on a sheet or handwrite them, but have
Hmm.
something in front of her along with your student work evidence, it would be great.
I
I
agree. I'm
think,
definitely looking forward to it. I really want to honestly do it tomorrow because I want to get the ball rolling. So I definitely appreciate, you know, you helping me and coming up with this list together. I think, I'm definitely going to come in with the evidence-based examples that you said, making sure that we have expectations of sharing our lesson plans with one another,
yes.
um, agreeing that we have high expectations for all of our students. And then I
Great.
think the only other thing I'll do for now is finding a weekly time for us to meet briefly to make sure we're on the same page.
I think those are 4 solid things that you can introduce to her now, and then we can work on an incremental action plan. I feel like
Yes.
those will be great, so we can start seeing a change immediately. Because
Yes,
I
I
just
agree.
really want you to feel like your inclusion teacher is there to support you, not you
Hmm.
doing all of the work or her
Hmm.
just sitting there and watching you teach.
Right. I agree.
But we can get to all those other minute things later and focus on the main part at hand, which is the sharing, collaboration, the time you can meet. And overall, I think we'll be making great progress.
I agree. Yes. Thank you so
Okay.
much for taking the time to meet with me. I definitely really appreciate it. And I can't wait to see how this turns out. And I'll definitely let you know and reach back out.
No problem. It was nice meeting you. Please let me know how it goes.
I will. Absolutely.
Okay. See you again.
All right. Bye bye.